Okay, so I need to tell you about this crazy story that's been on my mind for weeks now. It's about a girl I know, Danny, and her epic first date with someone named Wilder. Now, I've known Danny for years, we grew up together, went to the same school, all that stuff. But never in a million years would I have pegged her as the adventurous type. She's always been a bit of a homebody, content with just hanging out at home or going on a spontaneous trip to the nearby woods. Anyway, Danny had met Wilder through mutual friends, and they'd been flirting for weeks online before finally agreeing to meet up in person. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit skeptical when I heard about this date. I mean, how can you really get to know someone after just a few minutes of conversation on the internet? But Danny seemed so excited, like she'd been waiting forever for this moment. So, they decided to meet up at a trendy little cafe in town, and I'm thinking, okay, this is gonna be cute. But what I didn't realize was that Wilder had other plans. As soon as Danny walked in, he swooped her off the ground like she was a kid and started kissing her. And not just any kiss, mind you, this was the kind of passionate, all-consuming kiss that left you breathless. And I know what you're thinking. Wait, isn't that a little too much for a first date? But Danny seemed to be enjoying herself, like she'd been waiting for this moment her whole life. They spent the rest of the afternoon laughing and joking, ordering drinks and getting to know each other. It was actually kind of adorable. But here's where things start to get weird. As they were leaving the cafe, Wilder pulls out his car keys and says something like, "Hey, I've got a great idea for a spontaneous road trip." And Danny is all, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "We can just drive wherever we want, see what happens." Now, at this point, I'm thinking to myself, what? Are they insane? Don't they have plans or jobs or something? But Danny seems to be on board, so I guess that's all that matters. And then, things get even weirder. They start driving around town, just aimlessly cruising, looking for some kind of adventure. And I'm sitting at home, watching this whole thing unfold on my phone, and I'm just thinking, okay, this is getting out of hand. But Danny seems to be having the time of her life. But then, things take a turn. Wilder starts telling Danny about his passion project, some kind of art installation he's been working on, but I don't know the details. All I know is that it involves a lot of driving and very little sleep. And Danny seems to be getting more and more into it. And, well, that's where I'm going to stop for now. I need to wrap up this story before I lose my mind. But trust me, folks, things are about to get real interesting. Stay tuned, because this is just the beginning of a 4-day adventure that neither Danny nor Wilder planned. As they continued their conversation, Danny's eyes lit up with excitement. She was now fully invested in Wilder's passion project, and it seemed like she couldn't wait to see what he had planned next. I'm not sure how much more sleep Wilder got that night, but he seemed to be driving Danny into the wee hours of the morning. At one point, they stopped at a quirky roadside diner for breakfast, where Danny proceeded to try every type of breakfast food on the menu. Wilder laughed and joked with the waitress, who was clearly charmed by his eccentricity. I'm starting to think that this passion project is actually just a code word for wild adventure. But things took a turn for the strange when they arrived at what looked like an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. Wilder announced that this was where he would be setting up his installation, and Danny seemed to trust him completely. I'm trying not to worry, but my instincts are screaming warning signs. As they began to unload equipment and supplies from the truck, I noticed that they were accompanied by a third person, someone I didn't recognize, with a scruffy beard and a guitar slung over their shoulder. Wilder introduced them as his friend, Max, who would be helping him with the installation. Danny seemed happy to meet Max, but I'm not sure what her relationship is with him. As the sun began to set, casting an eerie glow over the warehouse, I couldn't shake the feeling that they were all in over their heads. The air was thick with anticipation and a hint of danger, and I found myself biting my nails in anxiety. What had Danny gotten herself into? And what exactly is Wilder's passion project going to entail? As the night wore on, Danny seemed to be getting more and more restless. She kept glancing at her phone, as if waiting for something, or someone, to arrive. I'm starting to think that she's not just along for the ride anymore. And then, just as things were starting to get really surreal, my phone buzzed with an incoming text from Danny herself. "Reese, it's getting weird," her message read, with a string of frantic emojis and an urgent tone. I'm trying to stay calm, but inside, I'm freaking out. What have I been missing? And what is going on in that warehouse? The adventure has officially reached a whole new level of crazy, and I'm not sure if I can handle it anymore. As the night wore on, Danny's anxiety grew, and so did Wilder's excitement. They had somehow convinced each other to abandon their respective plans and follow an invitation from a mysterious stranger that promised an unforgettable experience. The only clue was a cryptic message on a flyer they'd found earlier: "Join me at the old warehouse at midnight. Come alone." Now, as we stood in front of the dilapidated building, Wilder seemed to be on a mission. He was fidgeting with a small backpack, muttering something about equipment and teamwork. Danny, on the other hand, looked like she'd lost her last friend. Her eyes darted back and forth, as if searching for an escape route. "Reese, I'm starting to think that my intuition had been right all along. This wasn't just a casual meetup, it was something more." The air was electric with tension, and I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck standing up. Suddenly, Wilder let out a whoop and pushed open the creaky door. Inside, we found ourselves in a dimly lit room filled with an assortment of odd contraptions and gadgets. There were old car parts, dusty machinery, and even what looked like a vintage airplane engine. In the center of it all stood Wilder, now dressed in a pair of goggles and a leather jacket, holding a large key. "Welcome to Project Revival," he exclaimed, as if this was some grand unveiling. "We're going to rebuild an entire vehicle from scratch, using nothing but recycled parts and my own 2 hands." Danny looked at me like I'd lost my mind, while Wilder beamed with pride. I couldn't help but laugh. This was either the most insane thing I'd ever seen or the start of something incredible. As it turned out, our makeshift workshop became a hub for an entire community of misfits and inventors. We spent the next 3 days working tirelessly to bring Project Revival to life, fueled by late-night pizza parties, caffeine-fueled brainstorming sessions, and an endless supply of Wilder's famous Revival energy drinks. The result was nothing short of breathtaking, a beautifully restored 1920s roadster, adorned with intricate murals and gleaming chrome accents. We named her the Phoenix, in honor of our newfound friendship and resilience. As we stood together, watching the sun set behind us, I realized that this impromptu adventure had changed me forever. It taught me to take risks, trust my instincts, and believe in the power of human connection. And Wilder, well, he'd found a partner in crime who shared his passion for creating something truly extraordinary. As we drove off into the sunset, the Phoenix purring smoothly beneath us, I turned to Danny with a grin. "I think we make a pretty good team." She smiled back, her eyes sparkling with mischief, and I knew that this was just the beginning of our next great adventure, together. "I still can't believe this happened."